What's happening, guys? Welcome to the live. I did a Ask Me Anything. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. It's actually was Boxing Day, I think, last year. And then this beautiful place, the podcast studio in Marbella, got burnt down because of a restaurant beneath me. It's taken a long amount of time to get it up and running. We're almost there. We're kind of up and running underground, if you want to call it that at the moment. But I thought I'd get back to doing these lives. Obviously, with the school community that I run, we're trying to put more energy into it and help you guys, give you guys some private lives and some insight from me and anything else. I obviously run courses on my school and advice on there. So if you're not a member of the school and you're watching on YouTube, you can click on the description. There's a school. You can join there and you can see what it's all about. I didn't ask an AMA. Ask me anything, whatever you want to call it. So I got a few questions here, but first I want to talk about my year a little bit. And where we're going into 2025 now and how you can win in 2025. So I've had the longest year of my life and the shortest year of my life all at once. It feels like I've done a hell of a lot of stuff. I've been involved in a hell of a lot of different business opportunities that will kind of unexpectedly. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. But I was in the Maldives, I think, in January, and it feels like a lifetime ago that I took that trip. And I did that to recollect myself, to refocus, to rethink. And it was a good couple of weeks, a good relaxed time. I believe I did a YouTube vlog on it as well, so you can find that on my YouTube too. But yeah, it made me refocus, and I attacked this year pretty hard. Losing the year was tough. For my social media presence, and I definitely would say I've lacked and failed when it comes to social media this year, and that's something I look to improve next year. But when it comes to business on the other end, I've done extremely well. Found myself being involved in lots of different events and making partnerships and meeting new business partners and some fantastic adventures that are going to happen in 2025. And I've worked my arse off. So that's obvious. Everyone says about working hard, but I think a lot of people don't understand, what that means. I think I talk about money a little bit, especially when it comes to being a man and making investments in yourself and who you are and the perceived value that you can give to the world. It is an investment. So when you look at spending money, I think as a man, every time you spend money, it means something. The restaurants you go to, the people you interact with, the clothes that you wear, the car that you drive, everything that you do, the places that you visit. If they're expensive places to go, there's a price tag to them because for a reason. If they're expensive to buy, there's a price tag for a reason. It comes down to your perception and how people view you. And that's something that I've definitely that's changed in my mind, I would say, in the last 5 years. And I'm only now trying to reap the benefits. I'm going to talk some of the benefits a little bit later, but I think a lot of people worry about spending money and they start trying to save and they try and look for some way to make money quick or whatever. And I think investing in yourself and pushing yourself, and when I say investing in yourself, to, like I said, the places that you go, the people that you interact with, the people that you talk to, what you wear, how you look, what you drive, over time and layers of doing that, it comes back to you because you present yourself in a different fashion. And that's what, again, I will say that this year for me has paid dividend the most. I've been doing that for several years, but I've really started to feel the reward of that this year. When it comes to, I will give you a very basic example, but for me here in Marbella in this podcast studio, we're in the center of Port Banús. There's a cafe down the road that I go to every single day. And I spend hundreds, if not thousands of euros there every week. People that I have met and I've interacted with during those lunch breaks, those coffee breaks, that time, I could easily save thousands of euros or dollars and pack my lunch and have it in the office and eat on my own. But you're missing out on the value that being in that place. That's a very simple way to look at it. So you need to change the way that you look at the way you spend your money, because if you're paying for things and you're feeling like it's expensive and it's deflating you and you're like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing it, you don't feel proud of it, it can really affect your energy or whatever, vibration or whatever you want to call it. But I've definitely found I've been projecting the right image and it's starting to pay dividend in that way. So I got asked a few questions about that. So I thought I'd just do a little, chit chat about it so you guys can see. I'm going to go through some questions. So I'm not going to answer all of them, but I'll answer one or two. We'll try and do an hour 45 minutes, something like that. I've got places to be, things to do. It's a good friend of mine's birthday today, so I've got to be there. But yeah, I'll go through. And if you want to ask questions on the live, if you're on YouTube, just ask away and I'll try and get some of them answered as well. Very, very basic, boring one to start with is what are your New Year's resolutions? Pretty obvious answer, I think, is you don't make New Year's resolutions. That's fucking gay. I think the whole ideology of trying to change yourself because it's a new year, because it's a different calendar, because it's a different day, the whole idea that you only work during the week and you don't work weekends or like that, putting that time frame bullshit on your life is a problem. So making a New Year's resolution, I made a New Year's resolution yesterday. I started yesterday. I don't wait for the new year to change things in my life. I think that's a very bad way to look at your life and look at the world and wait for the month, the first of the month. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change this. Just if you've got something that you want to do with your life, change it now. Do it right now. Don't wait for a New Year's resolution. Something that I've done to improve, especially going into 2025, is I've given up alcohol, so I no longer drink because I feel like it will make me a better individual and it will raise my level in across the board. I'm not saying I'm doing that forever, but I'm definitely doing that for 2025. So I started that already. I started in the hardest time of year because I think, you know, Christmas and all the parties and all the rest of it. I've had a couple of them this week that I've not drank at, or last week. And it's the hardest time to stop. So that's the time I want to do it because I want to prove that it's easy. So I've definitely been doing that. When it comes to New Year's resolution, again, I don't believe in the ideology of it, but becoming a better person. Really, I feel like the last 6 months I've got into the trap of being a little bit lost. So nailing down on my goals and what I want to do and pushing myself with this place, with the studio, and making the studio the best business that it can be, it is probably my resolution, if you wanted to go that way. Like, I'm really going to be here a lot more, be at home, I travel an exorbitant amount, and I want to try and be in Marbella and turn this studio into something special, and turn it into a place where all content creators across Europe and across the world can come to Marbella and have a home. So that would be my like goal, all of that. I want to get into business, but I don't have anyone to start one with. I mean, with the power of the internet, that's a stupid question. The best way to start a business is to start on your own. I would go, this isn't a plug for it. Again, I'm just going through the questions. The real world, with the Tates and everything that they do, they teach you how to make money online. That could be your first business idea. And again, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, or this, whatever you want to call it, start hanging around in the right places and hanging around with the right people and with the right mind frame. You'll soon find someone that you want to start a business with. So you shouldn't be thinking that I want to start a business, but I need someone else. You should do it on your own and you should get going. Best ways to learn skills, it depends on your age, your skill set, whatever. But if you're a young guy who can't work out what he wants to do, join the real world, $49 a month, and you can learn the online skills that you need to then start an ad agency or to start a business or start editing or start making money online from the billions of customers that are out there on the internet. And that could be a business per se. My first business that I started was I was designing and importing watches. I started my own watch brand called Rude Ape. That was on my own, and I bought the watches online from China or wherever it was. I can't remember. They were rubberized sports watches with colorful metallic bezels, kind of like mine. Mine's got a gold bezel now. And I would walk around to different independent clothing stores and sell the watches to the independent clothing stores. I was 16 or 17, did all right, made a few grand. I was very happy with myself, but that led me on to meeting a friend of mine called Paul, who owned a independent clothing store, and I ended up going into business with him and running an independent clothing store in Chelmsford, where I'm from, at like 17, 18, 19, that sort of age. And that got me on the entrepreneurial path. So just do something, whatever it is, whatever that idea is in your mind, make the money however you can make it. And I get a lot of DMs like this, and I always suggest the real world because it's $50 a month. So if you spend 50 quid, if you haven't got $50, that's your first problem. So solve is making $50. You can clean roads, you can clean people's driveways, you can knock and you can clean windows to just collect little bits of money. And I'm sure you can make $50, and you give that $50 to your parents. I'm sure they've got a credit card that you can use on the real world. But if you can't rate, one of the biggest skills in business that makes the difference between the people that make money is raising capital. You need to be able to convince somebody to give you money. That is a skill set. So treat that as your first challenge, make $50, raise the capital of $50 to get inside the real world and to learn how to make money. So you're learning that skill set of raising capital. I've been raising capital for the last 4 months for a specific project that I'm doing next year, and it's a lot of capital, and you have to do that in different ways. So that's a really important skill set that you got to learn. What else we got? Main focus going into 2025. I obviously focus across three different parts of my life. I've question about physical, like health, or if it's a question about business, or it's a question about relationship. But I try and split my life into those three focuses, and I have a focus for each of them. I've been focusing on my health more than ever now because, you know, I'm getting on. I'm 37 next year, and I want to make sure that I live a long and healthy life. And I've started taking a lot of supplementation, a lot of like NAD and all these type of supplements that can help with longevity. So I'm really, really focusing on my health. So that would probably be my priority for 2025, is to be the healthiest and best and fittest version of myself, trying to bring myself back to the glory days when I was fighting in the UFC and I had 8% body fat and I looked like an animal. That's what I want to get back to, because that's drifted away with business and everything else. So my main focus of 2025 is to drop weight, to get in shape, and to feel good. But I've got more specific goals than that, but I don't want to share them here. But so that would say that my priority at the moment is to get in incredible shape, so I can, you know, that will help me with all my other businesses, as well as help me live a long and healthy lifestyle with my kids and my family and everything else. Then obviously business. This place, we're going to turn it into a hub of Marbella for content creators. We're also going to launch a post-production studio, 3 more studios, and a monthly membership club, like a independent membership club, private members club, where you can be a member of the studio and you get studio access, you get event access, you get access to the space for co-working, office space. Just you can network with Marbella's content creators and creative minds of Marbella. They'll be called Casa Creative. So Marbella's Casa Creative will launch next year, which is one of my projects that I'm working heavily on. So that's one of my focuses. We will be making a movie in Marbella called A Beautiful. I just had come from a meeting about that film. So I'll be becoming a producer on a movie set and launching a movie in 2025, which is another big project that I've been working on. That's the project I had to raise capital for. So I had to raise millions of dollars to be able to fund and make a movie, which I've been focused on for the last 6 months. And, you know, we finally got that done. So I'll be making a film, and I'll be utilizing the studio here to make that film. It will be produced and edited in the room next door to this one. So that'll be exciting and be a good time and be a new industry for me. And maybe that movie will lead me into different parts of that industry. I'm also obviously working with Octagon MMA. You can check them out. They've got a big event on the 29th of December that I'll be commentating. I do commentary and I do content breakdown and fight breakdown and stuff for them. They're the biggest MMA promotion in Europe. Huge. We sold out a 60,000 seater stadium. Actually, think there's this behind me. You can't quite see, but this picture has got my name on it. It was a piece of the tatami or the mats in the cage when we had 60,000 fans in Germany and Frankfurt a couple months back. So that's keeps me attached to the sport. I'm launching something called Vida Africa, which is we're getting funding in Africa to help people go from training and fighting in Africa to coming to the UK and training under my old coach, Carl Prince, and then getting them to the UFC and getting them to the higher PFL and all the rest of it. We've done it with Atiba, is one of our cases that we've taken from fighting in a gym in Africa to training in Dubai to training in Manchester top team. And now he just fought on the UFC Dana White Contenders Series and earned himself a contract. So that pipeline of African talent, we've invested a lot of time and energy into that, an online platform where you can learn how to fight. Actually, through another school that I have called Vida Africa. That is a project that I'm behind. A couple of the projects that I have going on, some of the main ones, I have a few others, but again, I don't want to take up too much time. So that would be my main focus for my health. Second focus would be all of those businesses. And then third focus, I'm going to buy a house next year that my family can live in, as in I'm going to get my mother to live with me. Bit personal, but that's something that I'm top of my list, top of my priorities is to buy that house that can facilitate that move. See what else we got. Most memorable interaction with someone you look up. I don't really agree with looking up to people. Obviously, everyone does. I think you always get let down. I'll tell two. Again, this comes back to the fighting days. So if you don't know anything about fighters, probably not going to make sense. But I met a guy named Chael Sonnen, who was my coach on the Ultimate Fighter, who was a huge fighter in the UFC back. Worshipped the guy. I know every single word that come out of his mouth. He used to be a funny guy. And I got on the Ultimate Fighter season 17. And from that, Chael became my coach. I was the first pick for his team on season 17. And after that, I ended up training with him for 6 months in Oregon for him to prepare for a fight against John Jones. And in that time, I always say, they say you should never meet your heroes because they'll let you down. And Chael was someone I looked up to hugely at that time. And he definitely didn't let me down. He was like the nicest guy in the world. Very, very good to me. And there was one specific interaction I remember where I told him that I was struggling with my weight because the food in America is trash. And I was poor back then, couldn't afford the good stuff. So I was struggling with my weight because of that. And the next day he turned up at my house. I was staying with a couple of other fighters, a guy named John McGuire and Gilbert Smith, and a few other guys, Zach Cummings and whoever else. And he had spent $1,000 in, not Waitrose because that's English, one of the biggest food supermarkets called Whole Foods. He'd gone to Whole Foods and spent $1,000 on fresh chickens and all these different very, very healthy foods. And he was waiting for me at my house. So I turned up at the house after training and he was there with $1,000 worth of shopping with my weight cut. And it just proved to me what a good guy he was. And it was a great interaction, whatever. So that was number one. Just to say there's some people you might meet that you look up to that actually are the real deal. And Chael is one of them. An interaction that I always remember is when I fought on the Ultimate Fighter, my third fight. Mike Tyson was there, who I looked up to at the time. Obviously, he's on trend now with the whole pool fight. But he was there and he came into the changing rooms and he watched me warm up, watched my fight against a guy called Dylan Andrews, a fight that I lost. And I was devastated. It was a semifinal or whatever it was of the Ultimate Fighter. And he spoke to me afterwards and he said, kid, you got talent. You fought your heart out. That's the most thing because it was a 3-round war. We actually won fight of the season for that fight. And he just, encouraged me and told me he was impressed and all the rest of it. So that interaction was pretty cool, with Big Mike. He signed a glove for me and I gave it to a good friend of mine called Jack Mason because huge Mike Tyson fan. And I never really idolized anyone that much. But yeah, Mike was definitely one of them, Big Mike. And then the third one, actually, which is maybe had more of a lesson in it. After the Ultimate Fighter had finished, I was on the set for season 19 of the Ultimate Fighter, and I'd had 2 in the UFC, and I was 2-0. And I asked for a meeting with Dana. And Dana, to me at that time, was like God because he could determine my career. That's how you look at him. Dana runs the UFC. He's the man, blah, blah, blah. And he is the man. Another person who I've had lots of interactions with now, and I say enough good things about him. But in this particular meeting, when I asked to go see him, I was 25 maybe, or maybe 26. And I was so nervous to meet Dana. So I'd asked for the meeting and I wanted to go into him because I wanted to say that I want to be who runs he's one of the coaches on the Ultimate Fighter. One of my goals to coach a season of the Ultimate Fighter. And I was so nervous about it. And when I went in there, he was just like, obviously his living is having meetings and talking to people. And I understand that now, but and he was like, bro, I wouldn't have said yes to the meeting if I didn't want to talk to you. And he gave me his phone number. He said, reach out to me anytime, blah, blah, blah. And he was so cool and nice about it. And I was so scared and nervous to meet this guy. It made me realize where people are on your view. Like if you're here and they're here, if they give you their time, if someone is willing to, this goes for women as well. Like if you are talking to a girl, no matter what they're saying, they are talking to you. So if a man is willing to have a meeting with you, no matter his level, he has time, and that is valuable in itself. So I didn't feel worthy enough to speak to Dana at that time, I believe. Well, I think that's why I was nervous and worried about it. But I was worthy enough. I was one of his fighters in the UFC. He cared about me and he cared about what I had to say. Otherwise, he wouldn't have met me. Why would he say yes when he could just blow you off? So that was a big lesson that I learned. If someone is willing to sit down with you and is willing to talk to you, take full advantage of that situation because they're giving you their time. And it's a big deal. Same with a woman. If you're texting a girl and she's texting you back, no matter what she's saying, she's texting you back. There's probably texting her trying to get her attention. So be aware of that. That like if you have the attention of somebody, big, small, someone you idolize, whatever, it's super, super important. I think I went on a little bit. I'm talking is kind of what I do now. What was that one? Interaction with someone. How much money should I have before deciding to move out of my parents? Tough one because this one's depends on your circumstance, where you live, depends on geography. I would say, I think when I think of entrepreneurs or I think of successful people or people that have done well in their life, I think the ability to change environment is something that's extraordinary. And I think if you think about, I don't know how old people are watching or whatever, if you got me, I'm 30, going to turn 37. If I look at my friends that never left home, I look at my friends that are still in Chelmsford, where I went to school, and I look at the people that got 9-to-5 jobs, they never had to reinvent themselves. The ability to invent yourself and to become someone new and to challenge yourself and to change environment and make new friends and go to new places, it's a real skill set. So I would say as soon as you can, it's not about money. I left my house when I was 17. I moved out. I moved to a place called Peterborough, which is a shithole. And I had to reinvent myself. I ended up running a restaurant there, running a bar there, That's when I got into fighting, whatever. But I had to reinvent myself. And the amount of moved. I started in Islington. I moved to Chelmsford when I was 10. After being there, I moved to Peterborough. After Peterborough, I moved to Cambridge. After Cambridge, I lived in Thailand. After Thailand, I moved back to the UK. Then I lived in Cambridge again. Then I lived in Liverpool. Then I moved in California. Then I moved back to Liverpool. Then I was all over the place. So from being in new environments, it's very easy for me, especially because I did it from a young age. If you're 16, 17, 18, 19, and you've got money and you can pay rent, I think getting to a new situation where you have a blank canvas where you can be whoever you want to be, there's no better time to do it. And the worst comes to worst and you fail, you got to move back home. Who cares? I remember being in Peterborough, first time I left home, really. I messed up and I had to move back. I rang my mom crying, I got to come home. Mom looked after me for a few weeks and I was out again. That's life. You got to overcome those issues. So sooner you can change your environment, especially if you're in one that isn't serving you, and do it. If you're going to leave your mum's and you're going to move down the street and have your own house, I think that's a mistake. Stay with your mum. I know people that earn a lot of money that still live with their mum. I'm talking 2, 3, 4 grand a year. They live with their mum because they want to look after their mum and there's no reason to leave. I think that's a problem we have in the West, that everyone, like if I could go back in time, I would try and have stayed with my brothers, stayed with my mom, stayed with my dad as long as possible. You don't got to pay no rent. Stay with your mom, build up your money. If you're in an environment that cultivates and helps you, if you're in a compressing environment and people are holding you down, leave, get out. But if you're in a good environment that serves your purpose, don't leave. So I know I'm telling two different things, but if you are in an environment where you are not growing, it doesn't matter about money, get out. If you're in an environment where you are growing, save your money, stay with your parents, focus on your goal yourself, and it will happen automatically. So it's not down to money, it's down to the environment. Nothing in life is down to money. Everyone, they put monetary values on things that are ridiculous. Right. I'll try and see if I've got any live ones. Okay, so Fayima Akhtar, I hope I said that correctly. Basically, question is, I've got 19 grand savings. Do you know the best versions of things to invest in? Yes, again, like I said, investing in yourself is always the best thing to do. If there's no doubt about it right now that crypto is the best investment you can make. But if you don't know nothing about crypto, back to the same thing I said, join the real world. It's $49 a month. You got 19 grand. What's $49? Spend 3 hours, 4 hours a day in the crypto campuses. Learn about crypto. There's many instructors in there. You'll learn quickly, make safe, don't be stupid, don't chuck it all in one thing. And, before you know it, you'll have an investment portfolio and have made some money. So again, invest in yourself, join the real world. Okay, perfect. Okay, question. I'm 5'2" and don't have a talent for boxing. This is from anything for subs, so it's not a person's name. Do I have a chance of being a legendary and inspiring figure like Manny Pacquiao, or Pac-Man he calls him? I don't know how old you are because you didn't put in the thing. You said 5'2". This is something about fighting that I think a lot of people get confused with. So you want to be an inspiring figure like Pac-Man. Okay, cool. Everyone does. You want to be a world champion, blah, blah, blah. Fighting will serve you better in your life than anything else you do, because you learn so much. Fighting is not about violence. Fighting is about facing internal battles and pushing yourself to new places. If you want to become an inspiring figure like Pac-Man, Manny Pacquiao, no doubt you can do it. And I don't know how old you are, don't know how good you are, couldn't care less. If you put your mind to it and you give yourself 100% to that goal and you quit everything and you just focus on that one thing and you got the balls and you keep doing it, at some point you'll be inspiring. There's no doubt about it. And I tell this story because there's a guy called Tristan Youngworth, who I believe he started MMA at 32 years old, which is very, very, very late in life. He's now 37. He just fought in front of 60,000 people in the biggest MMA event in history in the world against a guy called Christian Eklund in Germany, in Frankfurt. He was 32 when he started. It's like, but you're probably not 32. You're probably 20 or 17 or whatever. Yes is the answer, but you have to give everything to it. And if it's worth it in the long run, who knows? But if you are 10 to 30, the best thing is learn how to fight. No doubt about it. There's nothing better you can do. And it is not about learning how to be violent. It is not about learning how to defend yourself. It's about the lessons that you will learn physically and mentally from facing fear, which you will face every single day when you get in a ring, you get on a mat and you fight somebody. People, and it annoys me so much when people talk about fighting, because they always talk about the end product. They always talk about the fight. They always talk about the battle. They always talk about, I'm with the crowd or all the crap. It's the day where you go to the gym and you find someone that you are afraid of fighting and you fight them every single day. And I talk about this. This is how I believe I became so good at fighting so quickly, is because I was hungry to learn how to fight. And every single day, every single training session, someone would walk on the mats that was better than me, and I would fight that person. I wouldn't look for the weak people. I would look for the strong people, and I would fight them. I'd lose over and over and over again. There's the guy called Lee Dosky who used to travel down to our place. He was older. He'd had 20 fights. I was a young kid, and he used to say I was like a dog waiting at the door for him to get there, because it'd be like, I'm going to go with you, Lee. I'm going to go with you, because I knew he was better than me. I knew he could teach me something. I knew he was going to beat me up. And if you have that mentality with anything in life, you're really going to get better. The problem is people go to a fight gym. They have an ego. They think, oh, I need to be the best. I need to be better than people. And they pick on the weak guys. No. Go for the strongest guy on the mat every single day. You'll be annoying. They will hate you, but you will get better and better, better and better. And that's what you're there for. So yeah, you can become inspiring. Doesn't matter the age. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you do. Okay. Pulkit Prakash. How's it going, big man? Question for you. As a 21-year-old making $5,000 a month online, what places in the world would you recommend to live? Again, I don't know. Lots of places you can visit, lots of places you can live. $5,000 a month is not a lot of money, but it's enough to live pretty much anywhere. I would say depends on the style of lifestyle that you want. I think living in the way you live is super important, and living in an inspiring environment is super important. I'm sure there's a lot of people online that are saying $5,000 a month, build yourself up to $20,000 a month, blah, 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 whatever. And they're telling you to go to a cheap place. Maybe they say go to Thailand, maybe they say go to Bali, maybe they say whatever. They're beautiful places, they're nice. There's other same people with the same sort of mentality. But I think a lot of that sometimes can be a cop-out as well. When you go somewhere cheap and you Again, depends on the other parts of your life, your romantic life, your physical fitness, everything else. I would go somewhere that aligns with your goals, aligns with what you want to achieve, and somewhere that inspires you. So if you're in a certain industry, I don't know what you do online to make $5,000 a month, But if you're in a certain industry, I would go to where those people are. It's to do with the contacts that you're going to meet. I would go to somewhere that inspires you to make more money, because $5 grand a month is not enough money. So you need to make more and more and more and more. So if you make it online and you can live anywhere in the world, Dubai is probably out of the reach. You could probably go there just about, but you're not going to have a good experience. You're not going to go there. There'll be lots of people there and you'll meet lots of people, but it's going to be hard to really get to know them because they're probably going to be living above your means. But there's lots of other places that you can go. Dubai is like the obvious one right now. Everyone's flooding there, but it is probably the most expensive place in the world to live right now. If you want to live a good life. If you don't want to live a good life, then maybe it's the right option for you, and you'll definitely be inspired. But I feel like it's a tier too high. I would go a little bit below that. I wouldn't go to Thailand, or, I mean, again, depends on your age. I lived in Thailand for 3 years, 2 years on no money. So it depends what you want to achieve. I would say what the place that aligns with your goals the most, that's where I would look to live. Obviously, Marbella, where I'm at, you could live on $5 grand a month extremely comfortably, and meet a lot of inspiring people, especially in the summer. I would try lots of different places. I would stay one place for 3 months, go to another place for 3 months, and try and find what suits you best. Anton Stack. Hey, Luke, how do you find people to network with, successful people that don't advertise on social media, that don't project themselves out there? I mean, that thing, right? But that's why it comes down to what I said at the beginning of the live. How you project yourself is important, and where you go and where you hang out is important. I'm in Marbella, so I'll use Marbella as an example. There's a gym you can go to here, which is called Real Paddle, costs you 50 quid a month, 50 euros a month. Everyone goes there, lots of influencers, lots of people, lots of whatever. The people that have money go to a gym that costs them 200 a month. That's a bit more exclusive. There's a place called Yours around the corner, which is a bit more exclusive. So I would look at your area and try and find out where the exclusive higher end places are, and I would hang out there. I would go to the right gym. I would go to the right restaurants. I would just encapsulate those places in your lifestyle. If you can't afford it, well, that's what you do. Again, you got to look at it like an investment. You're not going there for the coffee or the food. You're going there for the people. So if you go there with the right mentality and you're working in the right cafe with the right people, you can soon network with the quiet guys that don't talk about it. Taking up hobbies and sports and things like that the higher end kind of people do, great. But you've got to project yourself the right way. So I believe the right answer is investing in yourself, making yourself, and attracting those people to you. It's by chance, but by time. And I talk about the guy that I'm shooting the movie with, the guy from New York, a director from New York. I met him through a girl that we ended up having a coffee with, because the girl suggested to him that he should meet me. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't meet him anywhere else. She told him, I know this guy, you should meet him, because I'm obviously projecting the right whatever. So I think working on yourself and good at everything and hanging out with the right places, projecting value in the right ways, that's how you're going to meet the offline people that are making money. And there's a lot of them in Marbella, like a lot, that you are crazy wealthy, but don't spread it online. And they're not part of this new money generation that is like flex, 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 flex. If they're the people you're talking about, it's all about the establishments that you go to and building up a reputation. Okay, we'll go back. Do you recommend finishing high school? Absolutely. I didn't technically, but I 100%. I think school system's a scam. I think you're getting taught bullshit, but you learn a lot of lessons through it. And you've got to think about how other people view you. And if you didn't even finish school, you can have that 1 in a 10,000 opportunity where people say, yeah, look at me, I didn't even go finish high, I'm a millionaire. But that's not most people. Most people that don't finish high school are bums. So yes, university is a different matter. I would not bother going to university unless you have something very, very specific that you want to become. If you want to be a lawyer, you need to go to university. If you want to do something specific, university. If you don't know what you want to do, again, join the real world. So it's easy money. Could you spar Andrew in kickboxing with headshots on video? The people want to see it. I mean, you want to see me get beaten up? Nice. No, yeah, we actually did that in Marbella last time he was here, a long time ago, maybe 4 years or 5 years ago. I'm sure it's on the internet somewhere. He sidekicks me and I do a backward, and they cut it like he like broke my ribs or something, but he didn't. We had a good back and forth. That was the last time I sparred with him kickboxing. Yeah, it was like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Maybe we could. I don't know. Kicking's hard now. Yeah, I'm getting a bit old, but One day, maybe, we'll see. Why did you stop fighting, and when did you stop fighting? I stopped when I was 32. I think it was around December, so it's coming up to December now. I had my last fight in Kazakhstan. I got knocked out. I stopped because I didn't feel. Before that, I mean, I had 25 professional fights. I had 10 amateur fights. I had 7 kickboxing fights, 1 boxing fight, and a load of interclubs and a load of jiu-jitsu competitions. So 50 fights. I stopped because fighting is an extremely dangerous thing to do at a professional level for your brain. And there was no advantage to me fighting because I won a fight. I was fighting for a Russian organization called ACA. I won a fight. Yeah, okay, I got paid 50 grand or whatever it was for the fight. But I felt nothing. It was like, yay, cool. You know, no one cared. I didn't care. The audience didn't care. They just didn't feel anything. And then I lost the fight, which is probably more important. Didn't feel anything. Didn't feel shame. I just felt like, oh, that's the way it is. So I'd gone through the mill a bit too much. I didn't care about it anymore. I had no passion for it. So I was training hard. I trained fucking hard, really, really hard still for these fights. And this was the last fight in the fight camp. I went to Manchester for the training camp, and I was staying at my coach's house. And I remember not caring about training, not being interested. I enjoy it. So fighting was all I ever wanted to do. And the moment I knew I should, well, now retrospectively looking back, the moment I should have quit is when I fought a guy called Mehmed Khalidov and I got knocked out. That was the first time I ever got knocked out. That's when I should have quit because that was the highest level I fought at, as in opponent wise. He was ranked number 7 in the world and I lost. And yeah, I could have maybe rallied back up there, but it didn't happen that way. So the reason I didn't care when I won or when I lost is because the level of opposition was never as good as the UFC, was never as high as Mehmed Khalidov, was never as high as Mark Munoz or Sean Strickland that I fought. It was always lower than that. So when I won, I was like, of course I'm going to win. Like, this guy's a bum, you know? So I didn't feel anything. So for me to fight those Sean Strickland level people again, it would have taken me another 3-4 years of hard graft. And I just didn't have it in me anymore because I didn't have the passion for the sport. And I found making money more exciting. When I made a sale, like I come from 15, 18 years of martial arts, the excitement of walking to a cage and fighting another man didn't bother me anymore. I could do it all day long. Then when I got into selling online products or doing online stuff and someone gave me, I remember last year when I did the live, that was the first YouTube live. This is the second. It took me a year to do another one. Someone donated $5 or something. And I was like, that gave me more of a rush than having a cage fight because it was new. It was something completely different. And I think making deals and being an entrepreneur is what I love more. And I tell this story now, like I'm a creative entrepreneur who got sidetracked by a career in martial arts. I don't think I was truly a fighter at my heart. I think I was an entrepreneur who found mixed martial arts, the creativity of it and what I did exciting. And once that died off, I wanted to do something else. So I think I'm definitely an entrepreneur that wants to start projects, sell on projects, and move on to something new. And yeah, it was just who I am and who I became. So yeah, that's kind of why I stopped, if that makes sense. Pretty in-depth answer, I think. Do 2 more or 3 more. What was the best piece ever received? Okay, this one going to sound a bit weird. There's a guy called Nigel Burgess, who was the owner of my gym. So if you understand, I'll tell my story a little bit. Coming up in fighting, and I was an amateur, and I love fighting, and it's all I wanted to do. I had a job in marketing in London, just outside of London. I decided to quit that job and sleep in my gym and live in my gym. Nigel was the guy that allowed me to do that because I definitely wasn't allowed to sleep on the floor in his gym and be a homeless person. I leave him, but I was like a night steward at the gym, slept on the floor. He allowed me to do that, and he facilitated my MMA career. So without him, I never would have gone anywhere. But Nigel said to me once, because I believe in MMA and in life, I've had the highest of highs and I've had the lowest of lows. And he said to me something along the, I'm probably going to butcher this. When you think life is going good, it's never as good as you think. And when you think life is going bad, it's never as bad as you think. You got to find somewhere in the middle. right? So it sounds kind of pessimistic when I say it out loud, but what he's trying to say is don't get ahead of yourself when you're on a high, when you're on an upward spiral and life's great. Don't think life's always going to be like that, because it's always going to drag you back down. And when life's bad and you're struggling, don't think life will be that bad, because you're always going to find a way out of it. And from a man who's lived high, lived low, lived high, lived low, and know I'm going to be high again and know I'm going to be low again, it helps you cope, if you want to use that word, with those moments. Because I've had some very high highs and I've had some very low lows. And I have that voice in the back of my mind, Nigel was saying, because Nigel was a multi-millionaire who's lived a fantastic life himself and been all over. So, and he's older than me. I think listening to winners, not losers, but winners that are older than you, is a bit of a life hack. So for me, when I respect Nigel a lot, and he gave me that advice, and I've taken that to heart. This is maybe 10 years ago. That's why I'm just recalling it. A fantastic bit of advice. The best bit of advice I've ever received. I don't know if it is, but that's the bit of advice that comes to mind straight away on this live. So, what's the most important thing you learned in life after meeting Andrew and Tristan? That's probably a podcast in itself. I could probably talk about that. Can have some water. I could probably talk about the advice that I've got from Andrew and Tristan for an hour easily. So maybe I'll do something on that for inside this. To try and think of something that sticks out. I mean, those who don't know, me and Andrew met by fighting each other. So that's how we met. And again, I believe this is a talent or a skill of mine, and Andrew's a good example of it, but there's plenty of others that I could talk about. When I said about projecting that value and being that person at the beginning of the past, is like, I've always stayed in contact somehow with people. You know, another guy who ran the event that me and Andrew fought on is called UWC, a guy called Alex Bezota. He now owns a couple of restaurants in a very nice part of England. Keep in contact. When I was in that nice part of England, I went to his restaurant, and I just have this ability that I think is extremely important, to stay in contact with people. Now, I've known Andrew, that we must have fought 16, 17 years, I don't know, 16 years ago, so whatever. And we stayed in contact. He became a training partner of mine because we got on, you know, so we trained together. He was fucking talented and I needed him for kickboxing. So he came down and we did some kickboxing together, and he beat the shit out of me. I came down. I remember he was sleeping on his mate's sofa. He had no money and I had to pay for his train or his petrol. I think him and Tristan drove down to Cambridge because he was in Luton to train with me. Because I had a fight coming up against a guy called Andrew Craig, who was a kickboxer, and he left. My lead leg was black from bruises from the amount of low kicks he landed on me, because I was learning kickboxing and I wasn't the best kickboxer in the world, and he battered me because I think he was British or European or world champion at that point. So yeah, we trained together a lot, and then I lost contact with him because I moved out to America and he moved out to Romania. But yeah, so I have this ability. People remember me or I remember them, and we you know, wherever life goes, we kind of come back in contact. Since that, and we were like friends and training partners, disappeared, came back, and we have a whole completely different relationship now. A business and friendship, whatever you want to call it. But advice-wise, I would say the thing I would pick, that I picked up from them, they haven't given me and said this, but what I've probably picked up from them is how time is more valuable than any money. And how they structure and live their lives, you know, embodies that. And what I'm trying to say like that, like Andrew and these guys, they don't do anything menial. They pay somebody to do it. And people are going to think like at their position with the money that they have, but they've been doing that forever. So having an assistant that books your flights sounds like a luxury, but I ain't messing around with flights. I ain't messing around with ordering things online. All the menial, small things in life, I don't do anymore. And that gives me more free time to focus on making money. And that's the important part. So it's like, if you have free time already, you don't need to do it because you can do all the menial crap, but you should be 100% focused on becoming the best version of yourself and being as good as you can be. And you shouldn't have to worry about that stuff. You should be able to spend your money to gain time. Right. And Andrew's got it to the point where he doesn't even make a fucking cup of coffee because someone does it for him. He does not waste a moment. The moment he wakes up, he's on the laptop and he's focusing on making money. It's stupid spending money on assistants and people that are going to help you do the menial stuff if you're then going to just sit on the sofa and do fuck all and go on Instagram. But if you are a focused individual that lacks time and outsourcing as much as you can, I think is a superpower and something that I've learned from the boys. And I was with my friend Mika last week. He's launched a new business in Finland, which is he's basically the Right Move or Idealista or whatever you want to call it, the property search website of Finland for commercial property. So if you want an office in Finland, you can go to his website and you can rent an office. And he's doing a lot himself because it's a startup. I think there's 3 of them. And I was like, bro, just hire staff, small amounts of money, not big amounts of money, to do some of the menial stuff for you, because then you can focus on the direction of the business. Then you can work on the business, not in the business, because every day he's doing the menial crap that he just shouldn't have to do, and he can't think about the direction of the company. So, if you look at that from whatever business you're in, I think that's incredible advice. It costs you money up front, but if you have a vision and you're focused on it and you're working your ass off, you'll get that money back 10. So I think having a cleaner, having someone who does your ironing, having someone that does all those little things for you, I think that's having a driver. I don't have a driver yet, but I'll definitely get one, because imagine if you've got a driver. I drive 30 minutes here, 30 minutes back. That's for an hour I can spend on work. I can spend focused on my life, not driving. That is something that I'll definitely try and do. Didn't even think about that until this live. That would be great if I had a driver. Having those sort of staff members that can help facilitate time, as in time is more important than money. If you're wasting time, you don't need to do that. But if you are, as I am, from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I go to sleep, my brain is switched on and I'm thinking of ideas and thinking of ways to improve and thinking of ways to make money and thinking of ways for my businesses to work better. That is something that you should think of. Again, I'll think about it, and maybe I'll do a live or I'll do a 10-minute episode on YouTube or something about the best advice I've got from Andrew and Tristan, because there's a million, but that's the one that sticks out to me. One more question, I think. Advice for guys who can't get girls: don't worry about girls. Girls are a fucking waste of time. Just focus on yourself. I know that's not probably what you want to hear, but it become the thing with that whole question and that whole red pill and that whole genre is like, it's all the same answer. So it just annoys me even reading those questions. It's like, they don't matter. You matter. Make yourself as good as possible and they'll come to you. Yeah, it's not a short-term fix. It's a long-term fix with everything in life. So focus on the long-term vision of yourself. Get clarity of who you want to become. Focus on that version and they will just show up. And if they're down for you and they're down to support you on your vision, on your mission, get a mission. That's probably the right answer. Get a mission in life. If you have a mission in life and you know who you want to become, trust me, when they come, say, are you going to support me on this vision? Are you going to support me on this mission? Yes or no? If they're no, screw them up. If they're yes, they'll support you, then they're one to keep. And then you then become the prize rather than them being the prize. I am on my mission. You are not important. Okay, you'll support my mission. Let's go. It sounds stupid, but that's how I met my wife. That is my life. I was a cage fighter. I met her, went on a date, and I was like, I'm going to move to America. You're going to come and be quiet and help me? Great. We moved to America. We moved to Spain. She supported me my entire journey. That's why I'm with her, because she supports my vision. She can have her own vision and her own mission as long as it doesn't interfere with mine. That's my look. And if you're a man on a mission, that is very, very attractive to females. Normally, they don't want to be with a loser who doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. So find out what your mission is. Don't focus on if a woman becomes your mission, she's going to leave you anyway. So don't worry about it. I don't like giving out dating advice, but that's probably the most I can do. How can I learn to fight if I'm just starting out? Go to the closest gym. Doesn't matter what it is. You'll soon find out. But everyone, I think that will do. There's a couple more here. Let me just quickly read through. What is the best news you've ever received, and how did you react? Can't remember. Happens. I would say about me as an individual is I can't remember. I was telling this story about fighting. Obviously, everyone UFC what this. That was a different lifetime ago. When I commentate for Octagon and I see these guys get in the cage, I think these guys are crazy. I would never do this. but I did it 50 times. It's like I live a different path. I think I would say, to finish this off, kind of what I said about women and knowing what your mission is, that's really what I think life is about. Finding your mission. I think when you know what you want to do in life, life is so easy. And I say this about fighting all the time. When my mission was to be the greatest fighter I could be, life was easy. I woke up, I trained, I did only spoke to you or had any time for you if you cared about fighting, if you're good at jiu-jitsu, teach me something about kickboxing, you became my friend, you became in my circle, you became the people I wanted to hang around with. If you were a multi-millionaire but didn't know anything about fighting, I couldn't care who you were. I don't care about money, I care about becoming the best fighter I can be on the planet. I want to train 6 times a day, I want to eat, breathe, sleep, fighting. That's who I was. And that was my mission. It was easy for me because I knew what my mission was. Life only becomes hard. People only get anxiety, stress, problems when they don't know what they want to do with their lives. So you have to figure that out. Your mission has to be clear. Once you have, and that's what they say. People talk about kids giving people purpose, and they only do if you don't have a mission, and they become your mission. Same with a girl, a wife, because she became your mission. That's not what you want. You want a mission. You want to understand who you are. And once you answer that question, life becomes so simple because you have clarity of what you want to do with your life. So you want to go out of the weekend and get drunk and be a dickhead? No, because I have this. I have purpose. I know what I want to do. If you have purpose, you'll go to the bar or the club and waste your money, time, and life. And then you look back 20 years later and you're a loser. Cool. But if you can establish what that mission is and who you want to become, it's the easiest hack in life, like cheat code, life, whatever they call it. Like, best advice I ever got is work out who you are and who you want to be. You can look at, and we talk about Andrew because obviously Andrew and all these guys, you don't want to be Andrew. You want to be yourself. You want to be yourself. So you need to work out who that person is. And that's why I say fighting is such a great thing, because fighting really teaches you who you are deep down. You go through such hard moments in fighting and through fear and fight through all these different things and realize what being a human is and how powerful you are and how weak you are at the same time. Because you can get hit in the head 1,000,000 times and get back up and punch them back. You realize, fighting ain't that bad. Pain ain't that bad. Struggle ain't that bad. I'm tougher than I thought I was. If you never get knocked down, then you never have to worry about getting back up. And I go back to about reinventing yourself. The ability to be able to reinvent yourself, the hard times, that comes from going through hard times rather than avoiding them. So by getting into a fight gym, trust me, it's going to be a hard time at some moment. Some dickhead's going to come in and hurt you, and you're going to have to deal with it, and you're going to have to work it out. That's what life is. I think running away from problems is the worst thing you can do. So if you can find that clarity and understand who you are, only good things are going to come your way. It's finding that purpose in life that is the tough part. End it there and just say, if you're struggling to find that purpose in life and know who you want to become, that's kind of what I do as a coach and as a mentor and all the rest of it. I no longer do one-on-one coaching or one-on-one mentorships, which I did do for a long time. I just don't have time for it. I'm focusing on my own life and trying to become the best version of myself and push myself to new heights and conquer new things. So because of that, I've set everything out, and all of what I have done, from sleeping on the floor to becoming a UFC fighter to transitioning into business, making money to relationships, all that sort of stuff, I've condensed down into a course. And it's a step-by-step process that I have utilized since I was 20 years old to become the best version of myself. And that is called Clarity of Purpose. It's available in my school. It's on offer now because we're coming into the new year and everyone seems to think it's a good time to reinvent yourself at New Year's, when they should just do it now rather than wait for New Year's. But yeah, so if you're interested in that, join the school, go to the classroom. There's 2 courses there. I've got one about fighting, which can teach you, it's more about the mentality of fighting and how fighting can help you. And if you're already into training, it's not like here's how to punch and kick, because anyone can teach you that. Mine is about how you can get the most out of your training, how you can get the mentality of a fighter, and everything I learned in fighting, from weight cutting to fight night jitters and nerves and all that sort of stuff, how to overcome it, is in the course. And then Clarity of Purpose is a step-by-step course that you can learn and you can utilize to become the best version of yourself and to set goals and to find that purpose that I was just talking about. So I hope everyone enjoyed this. I really want to do more lives. Once I get on it and I start talking, I enjoy it. It's just saying up and obviously not having the studio and everything else. So if you enjoyed this, please write in the comments that you liked it. Ask any questions that you might want answered, any topics. Like I said, I'll do something on all the advice I've got from the the high level guys I hang out with. I think that might be quite a good thing. But anything you want to know, just write the comments, DM me on Instagram, and we can go from there. Make sure you're inside the school, because I'll start giving away things in the school. I'll give away free courses, free merchandise, free whatever for people inside the community, and we can go from there. So hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope you all have a good Christmas. If you're into that thing, if you celebrate Christmas. I'm not really a Christmas guy. I'm a work guy, so I'll be working very, very hard all the way through. And then check me out on Instagram at Luke Barnatt. I also have at A Beautiful Kill is the new Instagram for the movie that I'll be launching next year, and I'm involved in and producing. So give that a follow as well. We're going to give behind the scenes of how you make a movie, how it all comes together, from casting to location scouting to, setting out the principal photography where you film the movie, extras, how you get, and if you want to be an extra and when you want to be involved in the casting, you can come to a casting. So all that information will be on at A Beautiful Kill on Instagram. And again, I'm at Luke Barnatt. So I'll see you guys on there, and I'll see you on the next live. Hopefully we're done.